Now at McDonald's, a McDouble is $2.50, so you can get your gym gains on. Or just get lunch for only $2.50. Get more value on the under $3 menu.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hello and welcome to episode 452 of the Filmmakers Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk
filmmaking.
From indie film to studio films to high-end TV to documentaries and
there's nothing left in between.
Everything else that could be in between, though, we might talk about.
Theoretically,
like,
yes.
US taxes on filmmaking.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
Distribution and sales.
Yeah.
All that stuff comes up in this week's episode because myself, Giles, Alderson, and you
Dom Lenoir
are chatting to
Rosie Fellner
and
Ross Clarke.
all about their brand new film, The Uninvited.
But you are invited to listen.
You are very much, dear listener, invited to listen along because Ross and Rosie and the team have made a really cool, atmospheric, suspenseful film in The Uninvited, which was directed by Nadia Connors, who's a brilliant filmmaker known for her fantastic documentary, The 11th Hour, which showcased her skill in tackling the complex and sort of thought-provoking subjects similar to Food for Thought, my documentary. But that one was involving Leonardo DiCaprio. So she's kind of in a good place. But this movie, The Uninvited, which is a fictional debut, should we say?
Yeah.
Stars
Elizabeth Reaser,
who's known for The Twilight Saga and The Haunting of Hill House.
Walton Goggins, who you might know from
Justified, Django Unchained, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
And let's not forget Fallout.
And The White Lotus, which has just blown up everywhere recently. He's in the brand new series of that.
We've also got Rufus Sewell.
Rufus Sewell, I know him from a play he did back at the Royal Court back in 1998 to 99, called Ratcatcher. But you will probably know him from A Knight's Tale or Tristan and Isolde. Fantastic actor. He's also been on the podcast, by the way.
Oh, yes, he has, yes, for the Scoop.
Yes, the Scoop.
Yeah. And there's also a very, very minor actor that we haven't mentioned yet, who you might know as Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal is also in The Uninvited. Pedro plays Lucien. But you'll know him from The Last of Us, The Mandalorian, Game of Thrones, etc., etc. And two other fantastic actresses we've not mentioned yet are
Lois Smith, who plays very much like the kind of heart of the film, and Eva de Dominici. Considering it's my name, it's a hard one to get out at any speed.
Lois Smith is a fantastic actress. She's known for Minority Report, Lady Bird, Twister, the original movie back in 1996. And Eva de Dominica, she is very much on the rise. A movie she's been in recently, The Fragility of Bodies, Tiger Blood in the Mouth, and Cosmic Sin. May also star some other amazing people as well. What do we talk about on the episode, which we've just recorded, by the way, at Rosie Fellner's house in Notting Hill? That was very fun.
We talk about the wonders of mumkind. Juggling being a mum and a producer.
Very hard.
We talk about the difficulties of shooting an indie film in LA. We talk about working with a very high-level cast. And we also talk about the issues with sales, distribution, and how to market your film, despite the horrible state of the industry at times.
And these guys have done incredibly well because the movie is in over 100 cinemas from Friday. It is The Uninvited. Please do go support it. Do go watch this film. It's fascinating, brilliant slow burn with fantastic performances across the board. And you should watch movies like this. People work so hard to get a movie like this across the line, and Rosie and the team, including Ross, are no exceptions. I met Rosie years ago. I can't remember what on. Neither of us can remember what on. But we did meet each other. I don't know.
Ross made a great joke about that on the walking out.
What did you say?
He said you can't have been that memorable.
I love that.
Oh, it was a great one.
Maybe that's fantastic. But she produced a short film called Hit Girls, with Gillian McGregor was involved in as well, and that's probably where she came into my orbit. She was an actress for years and years and years, and this is her first feature as a producer, and she's done a lot of the groundwork, a lot of this by herself, which we'll hear in the podcast.
And I met Rosie on the fantastic Notting Hill Film School, which is a great institution that she is a patron of, and I have found myself teaching filmmaking to kids that are very excited about learning the trade, which has been really wholesome and rewarding, actually.
Yeah, it must be. It must be better than teaching kids who don't want to learn the trade a deal.
Exactly.
Makes such a difference, I imagine. I remember I was at drama school, and so we had to go and teach like these kids, and some of them were interested, maybe 2 or 3 in the class. The rest of them just didn't want to be there, and it was so hard. But she's been acting for a while, Rosie. She's been in films like Mara with Craig Conway. She's been in Travelling Light, Life Upside Down. She exec-produced 1962 Halloween Massacre and Rabbit Trap, and she also starred in The Requiem movie, which came out last year as well. Ross Clarke, I've known from football for a long time now, probably about coming up to 20 years, playing football together, running around pitches, trying to score goals. It's been a hobby of ours for quite a while, so it's a joy. It's the second time he's been on the podcast. He came on in the first instance to talk about his rather brilliant film Birdcatcher, or The Birdcatcher, which starred Sarah Sophie Busnina, who was on our podcast very recently talking all about June. So yes.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
I would have connected the dots. No.
Wait, it's just a bit of research, you know.
Yeah, bit of research.
Bit of research would be good. But Ross, he directed and produced Desiree, his debut movie. Yeah. He's produced or directed or exec produced loads of shorts. And he is the director of Stand or Fall, The Remarkable Rise of Brighton and Hove Albion, which was, hopefully I think came out last year, but certainly it was about the season, a couple of seasons ago. And he also the documentary Skid Row, which is fantastic. Anyway, both amazing filmmakers in the industry, and they've both produced The Uninvited, which is out in cinemas from Friday. Go support, go watch. Right, let's get to the episode, shall we?
Let's.
Oh, and by the way, we just dived straight in. I think Dom just pressed record when I was at the loo, and that came out and it was recording and you're just chatting. So I imagine it just dives in that way.
Yeah.
So this is myself, Giles, and you,
Dom.
Yep, good. Talking with Rosie Fellner and Ross Clarke.
Start recording as we drink our tea.
Yeah, so the Bulls, collection agents.
Yeah, so the stats they gave me, which are terrifying, are that 72% of films make less than 50% of their budget back in collections.
That's a good stat to start on.
I'm not sure you should quote me on. Yeah, I'm not sure you should quote me on that, but you can.
72%. So around 2/3.
Basically, around 2/3 of the
nearly
films
3/4
don't
recoup 50% of their budget.
Yeah,
That's devastating.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was.
it is
Okay,
pretty
Rosie.
devastating.
I was reading a
Rosie's
text on
got
another
her
film I'm
serious-
producing. That's right.
Perfect.
But hold on, that's independent films or films in general.
Yeah, because Vintage collect for indies. Basically, I don't know if they would have a collection agency on this because they're the distributor as well. But yeah, a collection agency would collect your money and then distribute it via the waterfall.
Yeah,
and they charge you 2% on everything they
do.
collect.
Kind of an interesting question to start with because it feels like we're going backwards.
Yeah.
But
we can start in reverse.
start at the
Reverse
start
gears.
at the end. I quite like that.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining. That was really lovely having a chat with you guys.
Thank you.
Rewind.
That is kind of how we end up. I mean, I think what's remarkable about this film is that, firstly, how Rosie got it made with Nadia for a ridiculously low amount of money, but that we started off with, in November, we were thinking of a worldwide SVOD deal. And then I spoke to Tyrone at Genesis and he was like, yeah, I could put it on for a week and we can see how it goes, you know. Yep. And then literally Rosie and I persuaded them to just hold off and see what we can do. Alex Rowley came on and she sort of took Walton's ascending stardom through Fallout, through, and obviously Pedro as well.
White Lotus, Pedro,
and the fact that people liked the film, and then it's gone from 1 or 2 screens to over 100.
So it's had a really interesting and organic and actually really heartfelt and satisfying theatrical distribution because it's been a little bit by demand. And we premiered at South by Southwest in 2024, and to great reviews and everybody loving the film and it going so well, and then boom, no distribution market at all. So it just, fell apart overnight, and we were there with our film ready to go.
When you say fell apart, was the people interested and then they just stopped being interested?
Suddenly, there was no finance in the distribution.
Yeah.
So suddenly, I would have expected when making this movie with two of the world's biggest movie stars that I was going to get large offers. We were going to get these huge offers from at least streamers, if not theatrical. And they just, everything changed. And, there were offers, but we felt like, further down the line, there's a kind of big route to this. But back to what we're actually saying
not
about
good
the
offers,
release,
basically, yeah,
not the offers that we wanted to take,
not offers that you should take.
Yeah,
And
really, what has come out of it? Okay, I'll carry on with that. What has come out of it is the financiers, Photon, and our producing partners. They opened a distribution company. So, and it's a full-on distribution company now, and they're distributing other films. But I think this was a catalyst for this and the changing times.
So interesting, isn't it? That they went, look, there's a hole here. There's a kind of market, and if we give this to someone else, we might not make our money back. Whereas if we distribute this ourselves, we can very likely do it our way.
Not only that, we know that if we sign a deal with one of these distributors, they're not going to put into it what the film requires and demands and should have. They're not going to put the money into it, basically, and nobody's going to be able to do the advertising, marketing as well as we are. So by doing that, I mean, good on them. They invested in doing that. It's not massive amounts, but we managed to hit a zeitgeist with our actors booming, the material getting really well reviewed, and this amazing thing that Photon did by opening this Photon distribution. So then on top of that, the kind of where we weren't even thinking of doing a massive theatrical release, but the way that started, I mean, we did a little one in America, and then with Ross coming on board and mentioning that he could get a release at the Genesis, and then Alex Rowley coming on board, and she's got this incredible niche in the film industry where she's a PR publicist, and she also works with the theatres directly, and they know if they've got her on board and they know what press it's getting, they're confident to give it.
I mean, it feels like at the moment the industry, it's really not stacked in the favor of the filmmakers in terms of how the whole distribution, recoupment and the marketing spend is, because usually you get a bit of an MG up front, and then there's a certain amount of territories that they'll sell, which are often quite easy territories to sell, and then there's little incentive for the sales agents or the distributors to do much, and a lot of people don't feel like they can do their cinema run, which is really strange because I've done quite a few different cinema runs. You've just mentioned 100 screens. I did one that's also done 100 screens. And it's very possible in the UK, but no one thinks that it's possible. And I think it makes a massive difference to the overall, response to the film. And it feels like it's all like there's no incentive. You mentioned the filmmakers. Like a lot of the sale of the film and the success seems to come from how hard the filmmakers work. Definitely. And there needs to be a way to flip that so that there's more, teamwork, I guess, with the distribution and sales.
I think that's the biggest takeaway for me is, a year ago, as Rosie said, South by Southwest, good reception and then a kind of long silence through till Toronto. And then by Toronto, you're kind of like, well, we know this isn't going to sell in the way we want it to. But I think, you've got to remember now people have a different perception of it. And that is partly luck, if I'm really honest. It's not because the film hasn't always been good. It's because perception is so much of how it's received. And now The White Lotus is a nice Venn diagram with this film because adult story about wealthy people and privileged people and their lives. And Walton's in both, and that crossover has just like been a perfect moment to exploit the film. But I think the takeaway for me as a filmmaker is you can make a good film and have bad luck. You can make a good film and have good luck. And but you're right, the tenacity of the team, like Photon, Rosie, us, Alex, has like led us to a good, and Nadia, because Nadia took a beating on this film, right? Because, you know, it was like, well, just in the sense of like, if you're a director of a film and people have invested in it, they're like, well, why isn't it selling? It's got Pedro Pascal and it's got Walton Goggins in it. You know, why isn't it selling? And you're kind of in the lap of the gods to some degree. But I do think if you've got that tenacity as a team, you might get to this point.
And I think that's where we're heading, and that's where the whole model is changing. And, you know, it's exhausting for the producing team because you don't deliver a project and that's it, that's the end. These days now, you deliver a project, you find the audience for the project, you find the outlet for the project, you stay on top of it, and you've got to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And I think that's more and more for independent movies, that's the way it's going to be. The good thing about that is it's transparent, and it's not like you're selling your movie to a distribution company and that's it, 30 years. You never see a penny, that you worked to the bone and that's your movie. You're just giving it away at the end of the day. So that's changing, and that's the great news. But you know, the consumption of film is just so different, and that means the money that is available.
There is no money.
Yeah.
Well,
Where's the money?
I think event cinema makes it more interesting, right? So, you know, we've managed to build some events. I mean, the cast have been very supportive in America, haven't they? So you've had full, I mean, you can talk about you were there, but, you know, full cast, Q&As, Nadia, Rosie, Elizabeth, Lois, etc. And I think that makes a huge difference to audiences because it means they've got a reason to leave their house.
Totally. It's exactly what Dom has done with the Shakespeare Sisters and Chris Redding with their film that they've just released, Time Travel is Dangerous. And the same thing, it's kind of event cinema. You all turn up, you do Q&As, you try and get the crowd there. It's so difficult, but the cast were fantastic with you as well, weren't they? Turning up and doing
And it's about the personal edge as well. Like people, you know, there's such a wealth of sort of content that you're just drowning in everywhere. Anything where you can get out the house and it's like, okay, I'm not just going to the cinema, I'm going out for an evening, I'm going to get to meet people. It's great for people in the industry, it's great for local communities, and it's a kind of connection to people that you aspire to and that you love watching on the screen as well. So, you know, the Q&A tour idea is such a fantastic idea, and like that just feeds into the press, and it makes it a personal thing that people can tap into rather than just a sort of a corporate entity which people zone off at.
It does, but it's a lot of work.
I was going to say that.
You're
so
basically, and if the finance isn't there to support that, you know, it's travel, it's putting cast up, it's whole teams of people and lawyers and press and publicists, and it's so much work, and countries, and, you know, so yes, I get it. And it's a little bit like, you know, the money fell out of the music industry and then they have to go back on tour. So it really is, it's like going back into rep or going back in, you know. But that's a different perspective to making a movie. And, you know, we made this as a classic movie in Hollywood, shot in LA, grabbing this talent as we could. You know, we didn't get them saying, yes, we're going to follow you all over the world and support you on this. But,
no, I mean,
you know, they have.
They have because supportive. I mean, Walton's gone above and beyond on it, you know, and it's sort of.
They all have. I mean, they've been incredible. I mean, Elizabeth, our lead, she's so
amazing.
Supportive and so brilliant.
So brilliant in the film. They all are. Everyone's brilliant, but she anchors the film in this kind of robust...
A champion of mum kind as well.
Yeah, champion of mum kind.
I love that, champion of mum kind. I love that, Dom.
That's really good. Champion of mum kind. Yeah, that should be on the poster.
That is a good
quote. But the thing is about it all is, how do filmmakers make their money back? How do the investors make their money back? I say filmmakers make their money back. They're lucky to, you know, for films to break even and for you to be in, you know, in the black.
Black.
Yeah.
The black. Jesus.
black, yes.
You hardly ever see it.
You can tell you're a filmmaker.
Which colour?
He's always in the red.
Always in the red. Oh,
the red,
God.
yeah.
Oh, God. But that's it. It's like, how do we actually approach this now? And,
we have to have
money.
fees built into a budget.
Mhm.
So no, we can't. It's not a hobby.
No.
It's a lot of work. And so many times in film, as we started out as actors. What it's like. Oh, you don't get paid at all. You get these points on the back end. Producers are also, to get everybody in the movie, by the end of it, you've given all your points away, you've given all your fee away.
Yep.
That cannot happen because there is no promise at the end of the rainbow anymore. There's no golden eggs or whatever.
There isn't,
that
but there also
saying
is no producer pot. People are trying to set it up with Andy Patterson. There's a few other producers who are trying to set up a producers guild in the UK, but there isn't one. There's no protection, which is why so many producers in the last year or two have gone, can't do this anymore.
That's the problem is you've either got a film that fails, or you have to do 2 or 3 people's jobs to get the film out there. And there is 2 sides to it. There's the one side is the support that we sort of mentioned, like when your cast or the agents aren't supportive of turning up for Q&As, suddenly your cinema tour is killed. And that's a big part of the marketing. So like that really does.
So that has to be built into contracts if that's the way forward.
And honoured.
Please honour.
And also, I mean, Giles has talked about distribution. He's done a few deals in the past where it's much more of a percentage that you give away, but there's none of this sort of massive upfront marketing costs.
Yes.
And I feel like thinking about the model is also like a really sensible way to go through, so that whoever's selling your film is incentivized right the way through the end. And if it does well, they're going to keep going and you're going to keep going and you're like feeding off it.
Yeah, well, it's not about doing the traditional route. There isn't this 70-30 split or 80-20 split. Well, why don't we do 60-40, which is what I did on a film recently. It made a huge difference. There was no the little things that get in the way. They take sales agents, they take things off the top first before expense. So we had no expenses.
I love that you can't remember the word.
Big word
so
there,
long
Joel.
since you've been
I've
able
got
to put any expenses in. Yeah.
Jesus. So we took out any expenses, anything like that, and the split is anything that comes back is 60-40, 60 to the filmmakers and 40 to them, which meant there was no, if we sell this for 15k, we can now not think about it anymore.
Exactly.
If the money comes back to the filmmakers, and it worked really well because they worked harder, because they went, every sale we make, we get 40%. 40% of it.
And also not incentivizing, we can spend this amount of money and then we're just under the cap, which the filmmakers will never reach.
Exactly.
We've done enough to get whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not even, I don't even think it's as malicious as that. I think it's just like the way that it's set up, it unconsciously does prioritize the new projects because that's,
And that's the positivity about the new way with distribution. There's so much transparency. We have to have transparency now. I mean, you have to know where it's selling, who it's selling to, and how much it's selling for, and we're all part of that. So that's a positive thing that I think this new way of reaching an audience is for the creatives.
It is. Let's jump back. Let's talk about The Uninvited from the beginning. How did this start for you?
Should we tell them who our guests are?
I think they know because we'd have done it in the intro.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ross and Rosie. It's all right.
Yeah. Tom and Giles,
We've heard it.
Okay.
But why not? Go for it.
There we go. We've done it.
Let's talk about how it first started. Where did the idea come from? Was it something, shooting in LA was something you wanted to do as well?
For me, it started like any LA story, hiking up Runyon Canyon.
Classic.
With Nadia Connors, the writer-director.
I mean, she's amazing. Her documentary, 11th Hour, is one of my inspiration because, similar to my documentary, Food for Thought.
Brilliant.
It's all about the environment and helping stuff.
What led to that hike?
Yeah.
Just to go further back.
Did you know her?
Yeah.
Yes, we were friends. We were good friends, and we used to hike up and down Runyon every morning, as you do in.
Did you run, or did you just sort of do a sweaty?
We crawled. Yeah. No, we probably walked at quite a pace, actually.
Nice.
As Nadia shouted at her dog. No, but we used to walk up and we'd chat about, scripts and stories and films, and I just started producing and she was writing, and there was always a different one that we were talking about. And then one morning she told me about this one, and she said she was going to write a play, and it was inspired by something had happened when this old woman had turned up at her house when they were prepping for an evening party and saying that she lived there. So inspired by that, she said, I'm going to write a play, and, pitched it a little bit to me. And I was like, that sounds really interesting. And off she goes. Next day, another story, another walk,
Another canyon. Yeah.
And then she sends me a script. And it was a play at that point, and it was just brilliant.
Right.
It was just everything. It had all these wonderful elements in it, and this incredible story for women, really. And for me, very meta, because, being an actress, living in LA, having had a kid,
a great kid too.
Thank you, Dom. Thank you very much. Your star pupil.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so of course it struck a chord with me immediately. And not only that, just the whole perspective of women, just the bravery of what she says. She's a brilliant writer, Nadia, and the way she says all that stuff that you think, there's you're a parent, right?
Yes,
That's
definitely.
yeah. There's this moment in the film where the young actress says to the older actress, but I thought you liked being a mum. And she goes, I hate it. It's lonely. It's miserable. Yeah. And it takes you so long to figure out that you're lonely, and the person you miss is yourself. And it's so true, We've all been there at 6 o'clock in the morning at the playground, trying to look at your phone and trying to, not feel guilty and play with your kid. But of course, it's the you love that person more than anything in the world, and you'd never give up anything, I mean, you would give up everything for it, but it's so extreme what you go through. And then the way the world perceives you so differently, and the way the industry does. It's really a shocking experience for a mum, and especially an actor, I think. So just talking about that so openly in the script, I thought was brilliant, at the same time as highlighting so many other.
It always impresses me, and it's just a baffling thing, like how you can be so successful as a mum, like in business, whilst managing the absolute chaos of having a kid. And it as an outsider, it always just seems like such an overwhelming. I mean, it's overwhelming just without kids, like trying to survive in the industry. So, the way that it does capture that is, I think it's very powerful.
It's a very powerful film. So interesting. So it goes deeper than you'd ever think it would. It just might be one line that someone says, and it just goes woof. Walton Goggins, I think, in one line at one point, and it just undermined everything else he was talking about, and he just went, oh, okay. There's so much history and so much gold within those walls, and the unsaid is just fantastic, and it comes across so well. So she's written it as a play. Nadia has.
Sorry, I just
go on.
So my thing starts with 50 Cent and Sid Owen. That's when my link to this film begins.
Is EastEnders, Sid Owen, and 50 Cent.
50 Cent, and they're in Soho House in LA.
That's amazing.
And I'm sat in a chair.
I remember seeing 50 Cent.
Yeah, they were hanging out together, and I'm sat in a chair in Soho House.
They were hanging out. Sorry, that's
LA.
it's blown my mind. I love this. Go on.
I'm sat next to this guy and his girlfriend, I think, and I'm just laughing because they keep going back and forth. And I'm like, what a bizarre thing to see 50 Cent and Sid Owen together. And Ricky, anyway, and and basically,
see Sid Owen is him.
Ricky
Okay,
yeah.
So
I was quietly being ignorant there.
this guy just laughs his head off at this, and I'm laughing. And he said, "Oh, I'm trying to explain this to my girlfriend, how bizarre this is." And I said, "Yeah, it's totally bizarre."
So maybe explain it to those who don't know who Sid Owen is, or 50 Cent for that matter. Try and put it into some sort of context.
Well, I mean, Sid Owen is Ricky from EastEnders, an iconic, soap opera star of UK, and 50 Cent. If you need me to explain that, you need to maybe get out a bit more. But anyway, in the club is what I would say.
Yeah,
but anyway, so anyway, so this guy says, "Can you explain this to my American girlfriend?" So I tried to explain the same thing.
Right.
And we get talking. He, of course, is an actor because I'm in Los Angeles. This is 2013. And he says, And this, by the way, this is an illustration of life is what happens when you're busy making plans. And I think that's a good way to look at filmmaking. So he says, yeah, I'm an actor, blah, blah, blah. Turns out he's a friend of Barney Slater, a mutual friend of ours, but that's even more bizarre. But anyway, I said to him, well, we're casting this film that I'm making in New Orleans called Desiree, and I want a really good villain. I want a great actor to play the villain. And I said, who's your favourite actor? And he said, Walton Goggins is my favourite actor. So I literally called the casting director, Mary Vanu, and I said, do you like Walton Goggins? I think Walton Goggins is good. And she's like, he's amazing. And the following night, I'm literally in a bar with Walton Goggins discussing the script. He comes and does the film in New Orleans.
Yep.
I mean, Walton, Rosie will vouch for this. Walton is sort of terrifying on set, especially for a director, because he's the most well-prepared actor I've ever worked with by far.
Wow. Okay.
He has questions for you. He has ideas. He is also someone, I think, now, okay, he's sort of become iconic because of White Lotus and Fallout.
Become iconic.
But back then, I think, even then, he was sort of someone that actors liked because he made them better.
Yeah.
Like everyone on the set, well, he even made the crew better, to be honest. Everyone on the set got better when he was on set. Anyway, throughout this whole process, he would always talk about Nadia, and he would say, you've got to meet my wife. You would get on with my wife, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So eventually we bond over Mark Fisher and Mike Davis, which, if you know sort of critical theory, you'll know what that is, because Nadia and I are both sort of pretentious intellectuals on one level. And then, so we bonded. She's writing a script that he's going to direct called West of the Sun, which is a really good script, but it's not really Nadia, I don't think. And I think...
Which we nearly got made.
Yeah.
Oh.
You read it as well,
we nearly got that made randomly with Giovanni Ribisi as our DP.
He's a great cinematographer.
Yes.
By the way. He's a great cinematographer.
He was going to be our cinematographer. Anyway, it got very close and then fell apart.
What was the film he did recently?
Just did recent ones.
Yeah.
Like brilliant.
Yeah.
And everyone went, what, he shot that? Because no one knew he was a DP.
I love that he does it. He's an incredible artist. Anyway, sorry.
No.
He's an actor known for Avatar, in case people don't know.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Basically, she pitched the other idea and showed me the script probably around the same time. I didn't know Rosie. We met through Nadia, and around the same time. And we worked for a long time with a producer here, Oliver King, who's currently producing Patrick's play, Glengarry Glen Ross, or one of the producers on that, and tried to do it as a play. And they had various readings. Rosie was more involved in those than I was. But yeah, so I must have read, I don't know, 12, 15 drafts. I mean, Nadia's incredible how she kind of keeps improving, keeps refining. And I don't know, it didn't come together as a play, which is...
what happened? It got very close to coming together. We had, very big actors attached to it and wanting to do it.
And this is back to The Uninvited now.
Yes, The Uninvited, especially in the UK. But what happened was the pandemic.
Right, yeah.
So theatres were down. We were like, okay, well, that's the end of the world and the end of theatre. So let's develop it into a film.
Well, let's just jump a little bit back, because getting the actors attached is often the biggest chunk of difficulty for any filmmakers, and we know loads of filmmakers that are just constantly stonewalled by agents, and they never sort of get in that, get any kind of script even to the actor. What's your what's the sort of the magic sauce for getting taken seriously enough to actually get it to the right person? I mean, I know there's connections here which obviously would help a lot.
It is a great question,
but in general, because it does feel like it's got worse and worse and worse, and agents are so scared of sending things to anyone.
It's always catch-22. It's like, you don't have a movie until you have an actor. You don't have an actor until you have a movie. You don't, nobody's going to come on board until you have the money. You can't get the money till you have the actor. So it's always just a catch-22. And look, we were in a really fortunate position because Walton wasn't going to be in this. That was not a foregone conclusion in any way. And we attached Elizabeth, still not knowing if Walton was going to be in it or not.
I see. So just to clear for our audience, Walton and Nadia are a couple?
Sorry, Walton and Nadia are married.
They're married.
And yes.
Great. And they have kids together?
They do. They have a son.
So the story connects perfectly.
Yes.
Got you.
And did you have finance in place or partly in place at the point of attaching her?
We had no finance in place, and we just said, Nadia and I just said, I think it was March, we said, all right, we're going to do this. If I can swear, fuck it, we're doing it. Whatever, by hook or by crook, this is what we're doing. And we put down a date. We said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it quickly. We're going to do it in June.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd had preliminary conversations, but we hadn't offered it to anybody. And
I love that. Just on that, I love that you put a start date on it. That's what I tell people all the time. I'm sure you're the same, Ross. Put a start date on something.
Make it
will
real.
happen. Make it real. Even if you move it later.
We did. We didn't end up shooting till November,
but it was real.
But it made us have to do it.
I think that one of the things about this is that Nadia and Rosie were so determined to do it at that point, and I think Rosie, to be fair to Rosie, put everything on the line in order to do it.
Amazing.
On a pretty impossible budget in Los Angeles, even though it's in one place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, I think sometimes that's what it takes.
It is,
unfortunately.
Yep.
And that could end in disaster, or you could make a great film. And I think that's what happened.
Luckily, people respond to the script, and that I was very confident because I thought it was such a great script, and I knew that if we both, we were mums, we were used to doing shit and making it happen, and
for mumkind,
and we didn't have hours of endless time, so it was like, got to do it now. So we put a date on it. We didn't have a budget. We attached Elizabeth, and she is a great theatre actress and has a lot of people that wanted to work with her. And amazingly, Walton read it and cried and, felt it and really experienced it when he read it. And he was like, yeah, I'm on board. And Pedro, then you have these talented actors. It kind of sets the bar.
Yeah.
So agents know, actors know that
it's quality.
The bar that you're setting and what they're coming into, and then I think people wanted to work with them. So
it's an interesting conundrum because you're kind of often told the opposite from the sort of smaller picture producers or especially sales agents. This person won't do this. This person won't do that. Whereas I think stacking people up that are really credible and actors want to work with is a great way in. And then you build something that is a lot easier to sort of move.
Yeah, definitely. I think Walton is a kind of actor's actor before he was
it does
anything
entice
else.
other people.
Absolutely right.
And but I think the sort of most beautiful part of casting in the whole film, which Rosie can talk about more, I'm sure, is Lois, because Lois is the heart of the film. She's the beating heart of the film, and she's just amazing.
And Nadia actually wrote the script with a picture of Lois on the wall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what's really interesting is, when I was trying to raise the budget, I would, talk to a sales agent and about the role of, a 90-year-old woman. Mm-hmm. And they would give me a list of anybody who mattered. And on that, Helen Mirren, can't raise any finance on her. It was literally, you were just like, what are you talking about? All these icons. And they're like, nope, means nothing. Nope, means nothing.
Yeah.
That's
insane.
It's nonsense, isn't it?
It's
so stupid.
It's so ridiculous. I don't believe it.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it.
It's make believe.
It is make believe. Someone's telling poor
well,
kids.
now it's all make believe because what means anything anybody.
Well,
anyway,
but it is true that women actors are immediately devalued by the system and the sales system
and ageism.
Totally.
And ageism, which is such ridiculousness. We're all going, but they're amazing. They're fantastic. Look what they bring to it. My mum will watch it for this reason. My dad will watch it. And they're going, they're not worth anything. And that's, you've decided that.
Well, I think some of these rules are like, they're archaic, and I feel like the recent, especially a lot of the big movies bombing shows that people are bored of stuff that feels manufactured and hollow, and actually like some of the things that are being touted as like success and guarantee aren't success and guarantee anymore. And I mean, like the lines about being a mum that was mentioned, the scene with the narcissism sort of trying to get an actor's role, like those moments when people when you're really going into something profound and deep that really makes you think. It sort of reminds me of Adaptation, where he's talking about love at the end. Like those things stick with an audience. And that gets people talking way more than something mediocre and just trivial.
Totally.
And that is sellable. And that really is the key of like making a movie that resonates and lasts is that little
but also
nugget.
giving because of the budget constrictions, that's also a plus for the director or the writer-director for Nadia, because she was then allowed to make, within those constrictions, and she would push at them like any good director would, but, she was allowed to make the film she wanted to make with her vision. I mean, essentially it's her final cut, right? Because of that budget, you don't, if it's a bigger budget, you suddenly lose control. Execs start telling you. I mean, the version of execs on this film are, it's Rosie's, notes, my notes, Carlos's notes. It's like it's not a lot of people giving notes,
which is much easier for a director to go.
It's a lovely place for a director to start in. Of course, we had financiers. Of course, we had people to answer to.
Yes,
but ultimately, for a director, I think it's a dream position.
It is a dream on that.
Be in.
And a first-time director, you don't want to set them up for failure, because on the one hand, you don't want to give them too little money to make the film they need, but on the other, if you give them too much, they're not going to have any of the freedoms they want or need to have a voice. And I think, the film has a voice.
Oh, it does. It has a great voice. I really enjoyed this film a lot on what it was trying to say. On that, was there any pushback for Nadia directing this in terms of, because she directed a documentary? Was there people going, well, can she direct?
Yeah, absolutely. That's finance was hard to raise because we were unproven, both of us, really. But we were lucky because we had this very strong cast and a very strong script. And I think that shone through. And very early on, we had WME come on for sales.
Amazing. That gives it the legitimacy you need as well.
LinkedIn is pretty great at a lot of things, like helping you tap into the latest trends and insights in your field. We cannot stop your coworker from tapping her pencil. LinkedIn can help you find new jobs that align with your career goals. We cannot help you find the source of that weird smell in the office fridge. Ew. And while we can't stop your coworkers from bringing their hobbies into the office, LinkedIn can help you bring your career to the next level. LinkedIn is the network that works for you.
Yes.
And I also had a great mentor with Cassian Elways.
Oh, I was going to ask you about Cassian.
Yeah.
What a guy he
when
is.
Really, when it was literally when we just said right at the beginning, me and Nadia, we're going to make this film, Cassian really gave us the confidence. He was like, I'll back, I'm backing you ladies, whatever you do. And that really gave us the initial sort of push to go, okay, we're doing this.
You need some people backing you. It's such a big thing. Like when you're only like tooting your own trumpet, it's so hard when there's no support. And even just on the actors, like when you have a couple of actors that are part of the project, that gives so much credibility to getting other people. Okay, yeah, they've taken a leap and they're doing great stuff. So someone must know something that this is going to be, a good project. I mean,
also if you're like, having made a few films, nothing about what happened in this film when it was rough and bad ever surprised me. So when Nadia was like, upset or worried, I'd be like, yeah, there's nothing new about any of this. Yeah. Actually, this is just what happens.
Warfare.
And it's a standard process, and you're just going to have to get through it, and it's going to be rough. And the great news is at the end of it, you've got a good film, and people now will see it.
Yes.
And it's going to have a life.
Yeah.
Which is, as I said, thanks to the tenacity of all those people involved. And that's a massive victory.
It's
in any independent world of filmmaking.
It really is. And on that, just on the finance side, because it is so important to so many of our listeners, it's the thing that stops most filmmakers. What was it? Obviously, you've got some cast now. You've got a brilliant script. You've got Cassian behind you. How did you then approach investors? What were they all private?
We had WME. So as a producer, you're having to explore many different avenues of finance at the same time because you don't know what's going to be real and which jigsaw piece is going to be the right piece. But we ended up finally going with Photon, who came in and financed the project through WME. So Alex Walton at WME introduced us to Photon and sort of married us. And they were incredible. I mean, they got it, they got the creativity, they got the team, and they came in and financed. So that was a dream as well. And they were really wonderful. You know, one of them was there, Ari, one of the producers was there on set, but really sort of took a back seat and watched me sort of do it, which was really amazing that they had that trust.
Was this before or after Pedro was attached, just out of curiosity?
After. So we finalised the cast.
Yeah.
No, hold on.
Well,
yes. The package definitely had the full cast attached.
And I mean, was that difficult in itself? Because there is a lot of, I mean, especially around him particularly, like there's a lot of protection. Was that a difficult
with
one?
his team?
Yeah, with his team. Like, how did you navigate around that?
Do you know what? It was. I've got to say, you know, they're all just wonderful people that wanted to work together. And they, you know, he wanted to work with Elizabeth, he wanted to work with Walton, you know, so they saw the quality of the project and like, we want to do this. So made it easy. But it was obviously not a franchise or that level of budget that their teams are used to dealing with. So, you know, you're kicked down the, you know.
I think having one financier as well is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when that financier is on board with you, you're not having to deal with loads of different people who have got different arguments, different skin in the game, whatever.
They want different casts, they want different versions.
It was really, really nice.
And having a script that's that good, I just think it puts people's minds at rest, because let's be honest, a lot of scripts go to production that aren't ready, and I think this was very ready. In fact, as we know, Nadia had rewritten, and it was not in a bad way, but it was like she was prepared to refine and distill, and that I think is a part of development that people just don't want to do.
Yeah, they don't.
People are like, oh no, it's good enough.
It's ready.
Well, it's
Let's
not.
go. It's not.
Actually.
Yeah, it's true.
Or just ignore it, and they just like, oh no, I think they're wrong.
We'll fix it in production.
Yeah,
we'll fix it in post.
Oh, good luck with that.
You know, exactly. So,
glaring character issues and story plot holes.
Well, your actors will pick up on it straight away. The actors will go, well, hang on, my character just disappears. My character was annoyed and now they're not. You know, they find it. Actors are very good at that.
Logic gaps are like one of the quickest way to get rid of people's
team will literally
audience.
say it. Yeah, they had a cigarette, now they don't. It's little thing, but those things are really important throughout the story and what you're trying to say.
I think one thing I would like to know, because I wasn't on set, is how the hell you made it in the time you had with the money you had, because I do think that is kind of miraculous.
Yeah, talk us to how many days did you shoot?
So we had 15 days to shoot.
What?
Oof.
And
amazing.
Wow. I think they were like 80% night shoots. We had a big section of magic hour, which is you technically get 1 hour of magic hour a day. So it was a really tight shoot, but I was very confident because it was mainly one location. So, you know, that's in independent filmmaking. That
makes half the battle.
Yeah. And it was 15 days over 3 weeks. So it was.
Okay. So 4 days, 5 days.
5 day
shoot.
Weeks.
2 days off. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, it was done 15 minutes from my house.
Lovely.
Because I had a kid that I had to drop at school.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
At 8 a.m, go home, get a few hours sleep, turn up at set at 2, stay there till 4 a.m, go home, get a few hours sleep, drop my kid at 8 a.m. again at school. You know, it was done. You know, we also knew that if we shot there, we shot in the center of Hollywood, just above the Chateau. We knew actors lived close by. You know, there were ways. You know, it was difficult with permits and everything, but it worked. I kind of knew that it was going to work for the structure of what I had and what I was able to access.
I was going to ask, like, what is the logistics of filming in, you know, those areas are like so full of people that don't want like camera crews kicking around
and could not care less.
Yeah, they charge a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, is it mostly going through the sort of the, you know, just the usual permit in American filmmaking?
It's standard. The permits are very standard and very strict. You can only shoot till 2 a.m. So
that's not great for nights.
No, so our night shoots were short.
Wow.
You know,
Oh, yeah. She did finish it too.
Yeah,
Wow.
we had to shoot. So
From
we did it.
10
That's
till
why it was
2?
better. We did it in November because of the light. We'd have an hour or so of magic hour. We'd start at 4, I think. And we'd have very short rolling.
Okay.
So you did 10-hour days, so your lunch would be a kind of a...
But in America, it's, guys, that was a baptism of fire.
Oh, yeah, because it's different here.
Yeah.
Come on,
the unions and the,
So you had
SAG.
had to use all that stuff, I'm guessing.
It's hardcore. It's
I literally, I remember we had that meeting with the DP, with Susan, wasn't it, the line producer?
Yeah, Suzanne.
You, Nadia, and I was just like, oh my God, I've made a film in New Orleans and we nearly got shut down on day one. I still don't know how you really did it.
I honestly don't. I think it's a little bit like having a child, about like giving birth. You kind of have to have amnesia around it because it's so painful. Otherwise, you're never going to make another one. But, the lawyers and the unions and all that, and dealing with it being the sole main producer, like I was signing so many contracts and dealing with so many different unions and so many rights and all alien to me because I'd never produced anything in LA before. So everything was a first time. So I was a novice to it all. And that's where Cassian, having his knowledge, just on a text, like, this sounds fucking mad. Is it real? Yes, that's real. No, that's not.
What are some of the hardest bits, like, in terms of those unions and like challenges that, in independent film in the UK, you just rough it and get by, whereas that union...
So SAG is a big thing. And
Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah.
You don't know.
And you can go non-union, but you still have to obviously be SAG and IATSE, which is the crew
one. Crew line, yeah.
And you have to pay down a deposit to SAG, which I wasn't aware we had to do, or I thought we weren't going to do because we had a camera and that was agreed. And then literally the day before we shoot, I'm given a massive bill. So that, I remember that was a shocker, and I had to come up with that cash.
Wow.
And the unions will come down and visit you and check that you've got all the actors' green rooms are in place, and as they should. They represent actors, and that's their job, and that's what they do, and that's
actors
brilliant.
Pay a lot of money into it.
Yeah,
So,
and
yes.
totally they're doing their job, absolutely. But it's really tough on an independent producer.
Yes,
you need an infrastructure for that. Like, really, to not be like crumpling under the amount of stress of having
they
bombarding
have
you.
teeth. The guilds have teeth, and they don't really have teeth in this country.
No, so that was a difference. Coming from here, I thought, like we have Actors Equity, which
equity here.
they do a medical check or something.
There's the Directors Guild here.
Come for tea with you.
Yeah, and Directors UK, but there is no, we were talking about earlier, there's no Producers Guild. There isn't anything, well, there is, but there isn't anything that can come down on you or anything can stop you.
I'm a member of the WGA. They're currently asking us to vote on whether to expel I think 9 members because they worked during the strike.
Yeah,
really?
That's right. Yeah, and I remember saying if we went, because we were at one point in the UK saying, oh, well, we can shoot something here in the UK. And the WGA were going, you do that and you'll be expelled.
Yeah,
well, that's...
SAG actors.
SAG actors.
And that was another thing, with the script. Even if Nadia, because she was WGA, even if she had wanted to invest her fees, which are, WGA fees are standard, you don't get to change them. She couldn't. So, there's certain things, whereas in England, you can negotiate whatever you want to pay for the script.
Yeah, we should.
Or
we do.
It's a sort of newsworthy item in a way, because there is a tension between guilds that protect the workers, right, which are incredibly strong in LA and America, and then what's happened today, where Trump announces 100% tariffs on films, because the film industry is leaving America. The American film industry is leaving America to shoot in the UK because of those very reasons. So there has to be a sort of balance. I mean, nobody here would say, oh, we don't want actors, writers, directors, to be protected, producers. But there has to be that balance there, doesn't there? And the film industry has to adjust to this new reality without, because otherwise you have crazy solutions like, oh yeah, let's put 100% tariffs on.
It's never going to happen,
which is untenable.
But
really.
it is untenable. It's not going to happen. He's just talking, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, I don't, but
you don't know with him.
This is off topic, but here's my question.
Yeah.
What do you do? The Avengers is being made in the UK at the moment.
Yeah.
Pedro's doing the Avengers in the UK at the moment, right, and leaves them. And so what do you do? When it goes to America, that would mean that the government would take 50% of the ticket and the Disney would take 25% and the cinema would take 25%. So what do? Double the ticket price?
Well, exactly. And no one's hardly going to the cinemas anyway.
I suppose the question is like, why not just create like a really nice tax incentive that
that's what I thought
that makes Americans shoot there and brings in extra money?
Yeah,
like that would sort of bring money into the country rather than taking.
Again, he's just talking.
And you didn't get a tax incentive in LA either, did you?
No.
You should do. See, you should.
Well, I'm trying to think.
It's a lottery system.
It's a lottery system, and it's also we were going at a certain timing of the year when I think they'd all been given out or something.
There is a limit.
Yeah, there's a limit. There was. I think it's changing, but there was a limit.
Yeah.
Okay, but you did nothing in the UK, so you couldn't claim any tax.
No.
It's
fully shot in
everything, and post was done
in LA. Yeah,
tax credit systems in the US are very complex.
Well, it's each
state.
It's like a different country.
Like for instance, in New Orleans, you don't get a amount of money; you get a piece of paper, which is a tax credit that you have to sell to rich people.
Oh,
so they can get less tax on their state taxes.
That's
which is actually bonkers.
I know, illegal, but it's not.
No, it's totally illegal.
Like in an alleyway somewhere,
it's a sort of way in which people in Louisiana rich people in Louisiana can benefit from having the film industry in Louisiana.
We do have an incredible incentive here, and I think that's amazing. I'm making a movie at the moment, and it's real tangible money, and our government is so supportive and so brilliant, and it makes such a difference.
Yes, they are. Suddenly now it's and hopefully it'll go up even more.
To be fair, it's the only thing you can give Rishi Sunak credit for.
Yes,
because actually it was Rishi that brought it in.
Unbelievable. Rishi really pushed for it, and everyone was worried when Labour took over
via PAC, of course.
Yeah, via PAC Marlborough, of course. So anyway, sorry, we're slightly off topic, but
I'm going to keep you on topic. The reason I'm going to keep you on topic is because I'm going to have to pick up my daughter soon.
Yeah.
Which is always my topic because, bloody industry, being a woman, being a mother.
You've got to do it.
Everything. And this is why this movie, I think The Uninvited, struck such a chord for me, and why it's striking such a chord for so many people, especially women, because it all really needs talking about. It needs sort of putting out there. There needs to be a line in the budget for childcare. It needs to be equal, and it needs to be fair, guys. And it's really interesting that this film is getting so much notice and so much love because of the men in it. And I find that really fascinating. I find it wonderful because they deserve it, and they're incredible, and they're brilliant, and they're bringing all this light and love onto our film. But it's really quite funny because the film is about
Elizabeth. It's
about the women, or Lois, or even Delia. It's their story, and it's the story of the women sort of making it all happen behind the scenes. And
but I agree. I completely agree with you. All I would say is Walton and Pedro are kind of our Trojan horse.
Absolutely.
Because people will come in maybe for them and get a story about mumkind and mothers and all those pressures you're talking about. So I completely agree. It is ironic, but my hope is that,
it's beautiful. It's really, and they're so gracious and so sort of shining that beam for us, which is so wonderful. And you're right, though, when I watch the film myself again, I watch it from somebody else's perspective. I'm like, wow, it's really Lois's story, or actually this is Delia's story, or this is Sammy Walton's story, or
it covers it, obviously that is the core of it, but then there is another element that like transcends about I don't know, like loneliness, desperation for career, like these kind of long nights of the soul where people are like wandering around aimlessly. There's marriage difficulties, there's facing the end of life. Like there's so much for people to hook onto,
relate,
and relate to that is like so universally deep. But it is about
it's about mum, but it's also, for me, the key element to it all is the wit, because all that's fine, but for me, I have to be able to laugh at it, and it's the wit that it's written with. And you can watch the film and then you watch it again, you're like, ha, that line, I didn't get that. And that's my way of dealing with trauma is through taking the piss out of it.
That's because you're English.
It's because I'm
Because we're English,
probably.
so we're gonna have to.
But I think you can deal with anything if you've got a sense of humor, and the darker the better.
I think that I think the vision for it and the actual execution, and we should mention Rob, we should mention Patrick, who are a big part.
And so many we should
other
mention
people
everybody.
involved.
Wasn't
Rob was the DP, Patrick the editor.
Great.
Who I'm sure Nadia will mention them a lot, but is that sort of fever dream aspect to it, and then this kind of to me, I always see Lois as Shane. Yeah. She walks into that world, and everyone has to change, or everyone has to reveal themselves. And Lois is the catalyst for that revelation. I always see it. I mean, I agree. You can see it in many ways. I always see it as Lois's film. It's like it's really about and Elizabeth's character is obviously the same character, really. I mean, they're all generations, aren't they, of the same.
And you almost think at one point, is this the same person, in that mind? But the title, The Uninvited, I mean, that's Lois's character, right? I mean, maybe some of the others are slightly uninvited, but she's the one who's totally uninvited, And it stands out, and it is a fantastic
And don't we all feel uninvited?
Yes.
In life.
Yeah.
In life. And especially in this industry, we're all uninvited. And we all feel uninvited when we turn up at one of those bloody parties. It's just that innate feeling of being uninvited,
That's so true. We do. Listen, thank you so much for joining us on the Filmmakers Podcast. Honestly, you've done an incredible job with this film. It's brilliant. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you, guys.
Very profound.
Thank you for digging into this kind of mess of indie filmmaking and the fun of it, and really
and the battle.
The battle and the games, and we do it because we love it.
Yes, we do.
I do think that only two mums could have made this film. Actually,
one of two.
I do think, because
champion of mumkind.
If I'd have been looking down the barrel of the gun that Rosie was with Nadia, I think I might have walked away at that point. I do think it's sort of remarkable to get it in the can, and then what they got in the can was brilliant.
And it's in cinemas now. Go support this film. You're all amazing people who listen to this podcast, so go support the indie films. I know you do it a lot. Go out to the cinemas and watch this. It's The Uninvited. Go find it. Link will be in the show notes. Ross Clarke, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Giles. Always a pleasure. Rosie Fellner, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Giles.
We'll see you all next Tuesday. If you're lucky enough to rise up and do well, it is your duty to
send the uninvited back down.
I love it. Right, for all mumkind out there, take care. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Woo!
Bye. Bye.
I hope so. No one ever like
Genius.
Yeah, that's good.